I told the man when I cooked, I cooked. Now they won't have to wait on an oven. So Jack and I lived there together, and it was built, and we built it or had it built in 1977.
You want to tell us about the pineapples at the entrance?
Yes, we have pineapples at the entrance on the brick columns at the drive. Then down by the house we have a big parking area, and it's concreted. And of course my husband Jack did that. We always have a project going. And it has a brick wall. And on the post we have pineapples on that.
And the significance of the pineapple?
The pineapple is a welcome symbol. And so I think we have about 6 pineapples.
Tell us about your personal history. Your spouse, you mentioned Jack, and
I have a husband, Robert Jackson Roche, really, and he is from Florida. And he has a certificate where he's a genuine Floridian, because one of his great-grandfathers a long time ago signed the Florida Constitution. And so he was one of the few people in the area at that time who could read and write, because he was a physician. And Jack is from a place called Vernon, Florida. His mother and father were both school teachers. We do not have any children, but we do have a dog named Shadow, an old dog. It's diabetic that we give shots to twice a day. And so he is spoiled, to say the least. So as far as family background, I am originally from Kentucky, Corbin, Kentucky, which is in Knox County, Kentucky. My parents were Albert Lewis Gamble Sr. and Georgie Myrtle Williams Gamble. And my father was from Clay County, Kentucky. And my mother was from Knox County, Kentucky. And we lived in an area of Corbin called the Barbersville Hill area. And our address was around 1 box 29, Corbin, Kentucky, for years. Now it's Brookshire Street, because they've gone through and named all the streets. And I have 7 siblings, all older. I am the youngest, so I will name them in order, beginning with the oldest. My oldest sibling is Allie Campbell. The next is Ray McPherson. The next is E.O. Gamble Sr., Jr., Roy Eugene Gamble, and then Clara Mildred Morgan. Now, everybody calls her Mildred rather than Clara. In fact, I didn't know her name was Clara for years. And Georgie May, So Kalinsky, and Claude Gamble, and Hazel. I'm the last one. And as far as my great-grandparents, on the Gamble side, we start out with my father, and then it's Alan, and then it is Robert Peter Sr., and then it is Garrett, and then it is John Gamble, who was born in 1781 in North Carolina. On my father's grandmother's side there, Robert Peter was married to Sally Ann Allen. And but what is so amazing, I had lived in Wilkes County over 20 years before I started doing genealogy. And so far I have traced around 20 sets of my ancestors who were pioneers here in Wilkes County in the late 1700s. And I even proved that they knew one another. And I couldn't understand it, because all these people went to Clay County. And I told this lady in Clay County, I said, something is wrong. And I finally found the answer. There was a wagon train of 50 families who went from Wilkes County to the Harlem, Clay County area of Kentucky in 1807. the Gambles came from here, the Allens, the Boldens, the Penningtons, just several sets of my grandparents. And I thought that was really interesting. On my father's grandmother's side, my great-grandmother was a brewer. My grandmother was a Hensley, Sylvania Hensley. And she married Alan Gamble, and he died less than 30 years old. He was almost 30, of pneumonia. And he left her with 4 little boys to raise. That was that. And so then she remarried my step-grandfather, and they were married for 59 years before she died. And they had 2 daughters, Long and Mary Cecil. And my grandmother, Sylvania's mother, was Miranda Brewer, and she comes out of the Howe Brewer line, and we have traced that all the way back. And one of the famous grandmothers in that line is Sarah Lanier, and she was a cousin to this famous poet, Celia Lanier. So another thing, there was one grandmother in the line that a certified genealogist has traced back to Pocahontas. So supposedly Pocahontas was one of my grandmothers a long time ago. Then on my mother's side, we have my mother's was a Williams. Her father was John, and then it went to Larkin, and then it went to Bennett Jr., and then Bennett Sr. And I know Bennett Sr., Bennett Jr. was from Washington County, Virginia, because he and Mary Bowen were married there in 1806. So Williams is a very common name, and that's hard to trace. So we need to do some more work on that line. And then the Parrots, one of her grandmothers was, my mother's grandmother's was a Parrot. And I have traced that line back all the way to England, actually. And my husband and I went to Middlesex County, Virginia this summer. And we even bought the book of the Christchurch Register because Richard Parrott kept the books. So, boy, he had real good family records, even of the slaves he had in there. And so then one of my grandmothers was a Warwick, and their people were they were German, and they came down to Wythe County. So, of course, Wythe County is just about an hour and a half from here, so I can whiz up there anytime. And Lee County, Virginia, too, where the Parrots came from. So, since I have done so much genealogy, we're well documented there. In fact, I do a genealogy newsletter online called Gambrella, and I have done that since 1997, and I am continuing it now in 2003. So, many lines we have till they come into the country. And some lines even before that, but really I'm not that interested before that. But then there are some grandparents that I can't find, and I may never be able to find them.
Okay, tell us about your educational history. Where you've worked, what roles, and how long did you work?
My educational history is I went to the same elementary school, Lynn Camp High School in Corbin, Kentucky, from grade 1, there was no kindergarten at that time, through 12th grade. And then I went to 3 different colleges. I took some courses one summer at Cumberland College, I took courses at Union College, and I graduated undergrad at the University of Tampa, in Tampa, Florida. And I started teaching in Florida. And of course I majored in education, and I minored in history. So maybe that's the reason for the genealogy. And then I started teaching. I taught a year or so, and I came back north to Union College in Barbersville, Kentucky, and I started working on my master's and got my master's in '69. And I taught reading. I am a reading specialist. I taught reading. I taught 3rd grade, 4th grade. I've taught gifted in grades 4 through 6. And probably I've enjoyed the gifted the best because they were so smart. And I just, like problem solving and creativity and all that. I enjoyed that type of thing. And so I retired from the Alexander County Schools in Taylorsville in 1995, and I haven't been back to volunteer since.
How long were you in Alexander County?
19 years.
Your religion?
I'm Baptist and Jack is Methodist, and we had a problem when we got married. We have a mixed marriage. We got married in a Presbyterian church. He's Methodist and I'm Baptist, and so we just kind of split the difference. And so we go to Wilkesboro Baptist when we're here. When we go to his home in Florida, we go to the Methodist.
Civic organizations that you're involved in and offices that you hold and projects that you've worked on?
Civic organizations, right now my major one, of course, is the Wilkes County Retired School President. I have worked in that since '96. I have worked at the local, the district, and the state level. I was state secretary a couple of years even. And now I am president of this. I am also chairman of the North Carolina Retired School Personnel website committee, and we're trying to get a website together. And I have been president of the local genealogy society. I've been secretary, materials chairman, whatever. Jason Duncan and I worked on a project last year where we went back through all the bulletins from 1967 to 2000, and I did a subject outline. And all you have to do is look at your, like, the last name you want or the subject, and it will tell you give you a brief synopsis of the article, the title of the article, of course, and what volume it was in. And since they have the old volumes to sell, that is very advantageous. I have also, in my younger days, I was involved in the North Wilkesboro Women's Club. I worked in that quite a bit.
And your hobbies?
Oh, I have. I do have a lot of hobbies. Genealogy is one of them. And I started as a Christmas present for my siblings, because we give meaningful Christmas presents in my family, like crochet tablecloths, cross-stitch quilts, candlewick quilts. And so I needed a unique Christmas present. So I started doing genealogy. To do a notebook for them, each of them for Christmas, and of course I did. And I put it in plastic sleeves and a leather notebook and gave that to each one of my siblings. So genealogy is definitely a hobby, and probably will be the rest of my life, because you can never find them all. Another hobby I have is reading. I love to read. My biggest problem with reading is once I start off, if I will not read them. Another hobby I have, of course, is cross-stitch. I do that occasionally now.